Due to shows like Game of Thrones and Vikings, it is common knowledge that people who lived in the medieval period had an affinity for cruelty. Their sadistic nature is evident from the forms of punishments they prescribed. Often, the punishment was not commensurate with the crime. In this Liber-Tea episode, we will discuss common crimes in the Middle Ages and the requisite penal responses they attracted. If you enjoy true crime, please visit our sister channel, Crime Labs, here. Today, practicing magic is not considered a big deal. However, a few centuries ago, many women and men met horrific deaths due to accusations of practicing magic. Unlike today's trials, accused people did not have the liberty to adduce evidence to their defense. The trial process for witchcraft was creatively evil. For a woman to prove she was not a witch, she was required to survive a horrific ordeal. The reasoning was that God would certainly intervene on her behalf if she was innocent. Normally, a person adjudged guilty of practicing witchcraft was burned at stake or immersed in a lake or river while tied to a contraption called a ducking stool. This punishment was not only for witches. Women accused of speaking ill against their spouses were also put through the same ordeal. Normally, the condemned would be plunged in water as often as her accusers felt it was enough to cool her immoderate temperament. While this punishment was not supposed to be fatal, few survived it. The crime of disturbing the peace comprised brawling, arguing violently, reveling, and many other minor offenses. Anything that offended the status quo of a place was considered to be a disturbance of the peace, and as such, the punishment was subject to the level of disturbance caused. For instance, drunkenness and revelry were enough to condemn the accused to the pillory, which was normally located in the town center. Based on the severity of the breach, they would stay locked up in the pillory for a few hours or the whole day. While in the pillory, the perpetrators were normally insulted, jeered, and pelted with decomposed vegetables by the town or village people. The pillory was quite uncomfortable, as it bent the perpetrator over and locked their hands and head into place. This punishment was a mixture of insufferable public humiliation and lower back pain. Breaching the king or queen's peace was a grievous offense. This charge was preferred to counterfeiters, tax evaders, and slanderers for undermining the state. Severe punishments were prescribed against offenders, including execution for counterfeiting currency. Counterfeiting remains a serious offense to date. Counterfeiting currency, for instance, was considered to be on the same level as treason, a capital offense. You may wonder why counterfeiting money is a more serious offense compared to other crimes of deception. According to the historian Dr. Yuval Noah, money is one of humanity's most efficient systems of mutual trust and unifying factors. This is why, despite the hate ISIS has for the U.S. government, it will gladly accept U.S. dollars as ransom money. If you take a dollar bill on its face, you will see on one side the slogan, "In God We Trust," and on the other side, the signature of the U.S. Secretary of Treasury. When someone accepts dollars in payment, they show their trust in the U.S. government and God. Counterfeiting the U.S. dollar will cause the public to lose faith in the government, causing social, political, and economic upheavals. Notwithstanding, the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency. Similarly, if a Roman conducts business using, say, Emperor Diocletian's coins, it means that the emperor guarantees the holder of the coins a certain value. Counterfeiting the coins will cause many problems, including bringing his name into disrepute, a crime punishable by death. Thus, it is a truism to state that trust is the raw material upon which all currencies are made, and a breach of that trust is a step towards anarchy. The church and the state were the dominant institutions during the Middle Ages. Apart from secular laws, jurisdictions had religious laws. The harshest religious rules pertain to the offense of blasphemy. Voicing ideas that contradicted the church, refusing to acknowledge the supremacy of the church and God, and slandering the church were all blasphemy. For instance, the Catholic Church sentenced Galileo Galilei to life imprisonment for stating that the earth revolves around the sun, contrary to the Church's teachings. In 1431, Joan of Arc was charged before English ecclesiastical authorities for offending religious laws by dressing like a man, witchcraft, and blasphemy. She was found guilty of heresy and was burnt at stake. Both medieval Christians and Muslims had similar views on blasphemy. Unfortunately, blasphemy occurred frequently due to slips of the tongue. If a person was unfortunate enough to suffer a slip of the tongue in the presence of some people, the mistake was reported to the local clergy with grievous consequences. Blasphemers were usually stoned, hanged, or had their tongues removed. During the Middle Ages, the elite owned and administered most of the land. Feudal kings, lords, and the church owned millions of acres of land, and everything therein was their property. Consequently, you could not hunt or gather in these lands without permission or having not paid a fee. Any activity on these lands, absent these prerequisites, amounted to poaching. As such, cutting down trees in another's estate, picking up from the sovereign's orchards, and collecting raw materials without permission amounted to poaching, a capital offense. However, in some jurisdictions, maiming was an alternative to execution. This harsh penalty was because the elite was eager to stop peasants from using the resources on their lands for their benefit. It also acted as a powerful deterrent to would-be poachers. Like today, theft was a common criminal activity in the medieval period. Deterring theft was one of the state's primary objectives during the Middle Ages. Different legal systems punished the crime differently. Some kings and local lords would impose severe punishment for thievery, such as severing of the condemned person's hand or ear, while in some jurisdictions it was considered a petty offense punishable by fines. Repeat offenders often found their heads on scaffolds. Generally, the middle point between maiming, fines, or execution was public flogging or branding. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope you have enjoyed and learned something new. Like, share, and subscribe to Liber-Tea for more.